Hello, I'm Duncan and welcome back to this BAF series on the side sword. So today we're going to be looking a bit at the side sword here, and really the first thing I want to talk about is how you hold a side sword. So if you look at your old knight's arming sword, these were held in a hammer grip, which is great if I want to do big hefty chops, not so great when I want to do fine point control. So when we deal with the side sword, we actually loop one finger through the guard, over the cross guard, and inside this ring here, which is there specifically to protect your finger against attacks coming in. That gives you still a good, nice, whippy chopping action, but you've now got a little bit more control over the point when it comes to stabs and things. So what I really want to talk about today is guard positions. We're only going to look at 3 today, but before I do that, I want to explain one of the golden rules of side sword. Now this isn't from any of the text, this is me taking my look at it over the amount of time I've spent with side sword. So you won't find this in a book, but hopefully it'll make sense if you have studied any of them. When we're looking at positions, there are 5 kind of key positions, prime positions, whatever you want to call them. There are 5 positions, and in side sword, your hand should be on one of these positions, or it should be moving to one of these positions. If it is not doing either of those things, you've done something wrong. So, the points themselves are the hips, the shoulders, and the head. So, 2 hips, 2 shoulders, 1 head gives you 5 points. So we're going to be looking at today at guards. Now, there are guards on all of these, but we're only going to look at 3 of them today. So the first one we're going to look at is this one down here on the sword side hip. So it's positioned here. If I turn so you can see a little better, my hand is down almost near my hip. The point is still pointing up at my opponent's face, and this one here is called Kodalunga, and it's one of the first stances that anybody will learn doing side sword. It's probably the most comfortable stand-in, and it's one that you'll use a lot. In terms of footing, we've got one foot pointing forward towards our opponent, the other foot is about shoulder's width back, about half a shoulder's width to the side, so we can bend down into that to give us plenty of control of our movement. So this one here is Kodalunga, which roughly translates as the long tail, which makes no sense because my long tail is sticking out in front of me. But it really comes from an earlier time where if I had a buckler or some other kind of offhand weapon like a shield, then I would actually start with my sword primed back here ready to strike. And now I have, as you can see, a long tail. So that's Kodalunga. The next one that we want you to be aware of is the one on the other side. So this is coming across to that offhand hip. And this one is called Porta di Ferro. So that translates to the iron gate. And it's called that because it's the hardest one to actually fight against. Once you've gone into iron gate, everything is nicely covered. I'm in a strong position. I've got all of my strong arm muscles to defend anything. So I have shut that gate. This is the iron gate Porta di Ferro. The third one I want to look at today is right up above and hanging down in front of you. This guard here, which is by far the easiest of them to remember, which is the Garda de Alicorno. So called because I have turned myself into a unicorn. I've given myself this big long point sticking out of my head, so it is the unicorn guard. So that gives us 3 guards, 1 on this high line and 2 on this low line. As I said, taking up 3 of our 5 points. So what we can do is we can get used to moving between these guards, becomes a key factor of side sword, is being able to make sure you're closing down lines or attacking with these guards. And as you'll see already, that I'm starting to move my arm almost in a circle. So if you imagine these 5 points, and my hand can go from the top right the way round to this side, and all the way back again. So it doesn't form a complete circle, there's a bit missing about here, but my hand can slide all the way around, hitting all of those points, or I can chop and change between them as needed by the events of what is occurring. But as I said, whatever I'm doing, my hand is either on one of those points, or it's moving to one of those points. When I find my hand here, or here, or here, I know I've done something wrong, and I'm probably going to find out very quickly because somebody's going to hit me. But those are the first 3 guards that it's important to get familiar with. The 2 low guards, Kodalunga, second low guard, Porta di Ferro, and our really high guard, our head guard, which is guarded alla corner. So we'll be looking at a few more guards as we go through, but these are the three that we start with because they allow you to then start to build defences and attacks using them, and then we build them up. We're trying not to overwhelm people to start with. So that's the first session for you there, a little bit on how to stand holding a side sword, and I'll see you next week when we'll actually be looking at how to cut and actually injure somebody with the weapon. Okay.